Good morning from wonderful Mesa, Arizona.
Good morning again to all tuning into this webinar. We hope you did well over your holiday season and had a wonderful time with friends and family and everything that you were enjoying in this life of yours.
We're here today to talk about trigger points, a little bit in general, and then also the trigger point of healing and how it works. Trigger points are emotions of change, and they come into the boundary in points between the assemblage points that rotor the assemblage point will in a new direction. You can think of it as a pie with right now 8 points of assemblage notions that you have embraced in all the healing that we have done so far. And in it, there is a gear that shifts directions when you need to grow in another way in this life of yours. If some of you prefer one assemblage point over another, and when you prefer just one, you tend to go there a lot. That's good, but in order to grow you or grow into your own inspirations, you really need to be able to work with all of them. And that's where your Tao at the base comes in, because she'll flip you in one perhaps you're not expecting. And suddenly you're in another vantage point of what it is you're trying to understand or grow or go or wherever it is you feel that you may need to wander in this life of yours. Trigger points are points of inspiration, meaning that they inspire you in a particular focus that allows you to express something that may be different. In the trigger point of healing, and this one is common to many other people out in the world, there's a little song that says, I heal you and I feel me. And when I feel, you heal. And when you heal, I feel. When we all feel, we're all better. And that used to be the vantage point of everyone on earth for a very long time. Per and Asur'Ana used to sing that as an anthem at every of our Dreamtime Ascension School or DAS event. We're all going to heal each other, and we're all going to mend. We're all going to try to forgive and find compassion for one another, and we're going to have fun too. That's the trigger point of healing. It's fun to swing this way and heal one another and feel better and laugh more and smile more and find another position maybe to live your life from. A trigger point of healing will change your direction point of where you're headed in life if you sway in it long enough. And generally, your Tao will set this up for at least one day a week. But I would recommend that you think about going into the trigger point of healing every other day, just to feel well and mend yourself and find a new direction that inspires you. You can trigger it inside yourself by going inward into your heart and saying, okay, I need to go into the trigger point of healing now. Sway only with those who sway and care, okay? The trigger point of healing is a point of care. You care for yourself, you care for each that you are going to help heal in some way, and they care for you too. As Cs, sometimes we're powerful healers, and people come close to us, and sometimes they don't feel very well at all. And you go to heal them, and then suddenly, like a little sponge, you go, ooh, I don't feel very well at all next to this person. Then maybe you stop healing them when they're the one that needs the most healing in your association or at work or wherever you go with groups in this life of yours. So remember to say to yourself, well, if it doesn't feel well, I'll heal myself first, and I'll forgive whoever it is in this group over here that I'm with, whether it's at work or family or home or somewhere else. I'll heal them second. And then you feel well as they get healed rather than feeling sick. Some people in our DAS group knew that they were like out of control healers. They would heal everything around them to feel safe. And if that's you, I want you to muscle test that for yourself today, that you may be an out of control healer that just heals the environment, heals the house, heals the church. You heal the associations. You heal the store when you go there, and then you come out, you want to puke. Asur'Ana used to try to do that, especially in Walmart, Target, Big Lots, or wherever these big box stores or mega stores. You go in it and then you try to heal it. You come out like scurvy or something in the ethereal, and your third body goes, don't do that, or shop someplace else. So Asur'Ana and Pear avoided these big master-minded centers whenever possible, and they stayed with the little stores or the farmer's market or things like that because they just flat out felt better healing those kinds of places. That may be true for you too. So we recommend as a healer, if you're that kind of healer, and some are and some aren't. If you're not or you don't care, then you can shop wherever you want. And so in it is an assertion that you want to be well wherever you are. And if you have a tendency to heal everything or every environment, then that's very difficult in some places and easier in others. You probably already gravitate to what feels better and stay away from what doesn't. But you can also choose to turn off your healing systems. So if you have to go to a place like Big Lots or someplace to get something you can't get any other way. And sometimes there were things that Pear and Asur'Ana needed that they couldn't get anywhere, so they had to go Walmart, Target, or Big Lots, and they would turn off their healing system. And then they rapidly go in and out, check out and leave. They felt better and didn't get sick. Later, they started to order it online and just have it delivered, and that was a lot easier. Sometimes, perhaps, it's easier to shop online if you're out of control in your assemblage point of healing. Asur'Ana and Pear are out of control healers, and they have learned to edit their assemblage point into the assemblage point of care. So if you're an out of control healer, then you can edit that into the assemblage point of care so you don't have an assemblage point of healing anymore. Others do, but you don't, and that's better because when you went into that, you healed everything maybe for 24 hours or 48 hours, and then sometimes you felt really sick afterwards. Then you would need to clean your field to feel better, such as taking a shower or a bath or swim or do a mud bath. In the days of ascension, Pear and Asur'Ana would put French green clay, all over the skin once a week after the day of going into the assemblage point of healing, because they felt gross otherwise. The clay would absorb it all, and then they were okay. And that sounds weird, but that worked for them. In light, you don't want French green clay. Light doesn't do well with clay. It does okay with silica, but the best thing to do is to use vitamin C powder as a scrub. That sometimes releases things that may cling to you in the physical. I don't know what it is about vitamin C, but it has an odor to it that causes things that like to cling to leave. And so use it as a bath too. You can add a tablespoon of vitamin C to your bath to augment your own healing in the evening each day as you come home. It's very important in light to bathe 2 to 3 times a day to keep your assemblage points accurate and also to keep the body healthy. If you don't have a bath, then you can shower and use the vitamin C as a scrub. Don't mix it with salt, just use it pure. If you're in the bath, then you can add a cup of salt, and I recommend rock salt because rock salt is a natural healing aid and will pull the toxins out of the pores of the skin very rapidly, and it's cheap too. So don't buy the other kinds of salt because rock salt is actually better at pulling toxins out of the skin than anything else. It also has a motion in it that waves. Rock salt will have in the water with you like acids, and when it waves, it tends to push things that may have been drawn to the physical away. You add the vitamin C and it nourishes something else in the skin. Sometimes skin can get very hardened, and if that's true on the bottom of your feet, that's really not good in light. That's the place it tends to accumulate. Sometimes on the legs too. And is that the light is triggering the skin to grow, and there's too many layers. If you have this issue with hardened skin, then we would recommend to take a vitamin C powder in the shower and scrubbing your feet with every time you rinse yourself off. Asur'Ana and Pear don't swim in the community swim center here because of the phosphates in the pool. It's because if the skin builds up too thick at the bottom of the feet, the epidermis starts to die. So you have dead skin on your feet. That's really unwell in light because it can trigger the bones and the muscles to start to shrivel, and that's not good for the feet, for walking and everything else you do. So make sure to get some vitamin C powder and use it in the shower regularly or the bath. Either one is good and both is probably even better, and you notice how beautiful and renewed your skin is after you scrub it with vitamin C. It just peels off anything that has died in light, and your epidermis will renew and revive. So we'll recommend that. Then there are some other things we're going to recommend in relation to healing in light. Light can do many things to the eyes, and the eyes can get very damaged or glazed over with little niches on the lens to a point where you can't see as well. Some of you may be having eyesight conditions showing up now that the big gates are open. Whatever it is, there's two ways you can go about reviving it. One is if you can afford to purchase a seer. It's a beautiful substance that you can scoop or drop into the eye, and it will almost instantly revive the lens. That's what Asur'Ana and Pear have been using, but some of you have a problem affording it because it's expensive. The other option is to use an eye rinse. Here's a recipe for an herbal eye rinse. 2 tablespoons eye bright herb, 2 tablespoons raspberry leaf herb, 2 tablespoons golden seal, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper powder, colloidal silver, 1 glass eye cup purchased at any pharmacy. Blend the above herbs in a glass jar and shake. Take 1 teaspoon of the herbs and add to 1 cup purified boiling water. Allow to cool and the herbs settle to the bottom. Strain through a clean and new piece of cotton and store in a new jar, adding 10 drops of colloidal silver. To use the eye wash, Fill a glass eye cup with the rinse. Place the cup over the eye and tip the head back whilst blinking up to 20 times underwater. Throw out the remaining eye rinse down the sink. Then cleanse the other eye in the same manner. Foster the eye cleanse each morning and night. The herbs will revive the eyes, healing off and merging glaucoma or cataracts, and allow the eyesight to be preserved through time. In extreme light, it is easy to go blind through time due to hardening of the eye socket. This formula will preserve your eye socket ahead if used daily. So you have to be careful with your eyes always. Other eye drops really aren't as useful as the eye rinse with the eye cup, so think about that. This herbal eye rinse formula was very useful to her at another time, following her Lenten excursion, where she came back and could hardly see because the light had been too bright for the eye socket. They finally regrew and her eyes are fine now, but it is a journey into light that we're pointing to, and she had went a little earlier than you and can express for you what it is that's needed. So the vitamin C scrub is very important, and also the eye rinse, and I recommend it morning and night. If you travel, take it with you. If you have a colloidal silver generator, then you can make your own colloidal silver on the road if you need to. Because if the light blares, there can be a sudden change to the condition of the lens. Asur'Ana went to this national park where now the light is blaring with major angels over it. And when she got out of the little loop of all the beautiful scenery that was of high desert tundra, and she came out and she could barely see the road because the light glazed the eyes. Finally, she slept it off as she's gotten into another gate sequence, but when she came home, she noticed that her eyes were blurry again like before. She's not going to go there again and wait for it to get bad. She'll get the eye cup and start doing that mornings and nights in addition to the Asir, and we would recommend that for each of you. The other thing to be worried about is your hair. If your hair is long, you have to trim it every 2 months by about maybe an inch or two, or otherwise the shaft can literally break, and then your hair fall out. That's not good for the cortex to not have hair if you've been used to having hair. Some of you may have lost your hair, and that's okay. Shave it and wear a wig if you want, but try to get a wig that has some kind of natural fibers underneath if you can. It's okay to do that, to be beautiful too, and we wouldn't ever say not to. And the truth is, Atlantean women were often bald, and because the light was so fierce, it would fry the hair. It would fall out. A lot of the men were bald, and of course their heads were beautiful too, and so is yours. and so be that way if you're male and let it fall out. But one way to preserve your hair is to get a shampoo made with green algae or seaweed. Asur'Ana went to the health food store and found a brand of seaweed shampoo and conditioner and a face cream. It's a good face cream to go with seaweed because seaweed is gelatinous and it triggers the light in the shaft of the hair to refract out of it. So instead of the light running through the hair and perhaps cooling the inside, it will actually nourish it by letting the light go elsewhere. We had a couple of examples here in our group where they switched to the seaweed shampoo and facial conditioner and their hair felt much better. Less dry, was less like straw. If you have short hair anyway, you probably trim it regularly, but the truth is that major light can kill the hair shaft and then the hair falls out. So don't go in that direction and look for seaweed shampoo and conditioner, and it's probably the best face cream you could get. If you find a seaweed body cream that's better, and that's the only one we've left, Asur'Ana purchased as of late because substances on the skin can kill the skin in light. So you have to be very careful. You can look for seaweed lotions, and that's much better for your skin in this kind of major light. The other thing you can do is a small amount of oil, which is the only oil they recommend is apricot kernel oil. You can add lavender to it, and what they suggest is you keep it in the shower. After you've finished cleaning yourself, take a small amount of the oil and rub it all over the body, and then take your towel and towel it off, and that's just the right amount to make sure that the skin doesn't die with too much oil on it. If you like massages and they put a lot of oil on you, it's not good. Or if your massage therapist is aware of this. If you are a massage therapist, perhaps you change to apricot seed oil for people that are moderate light. Understand that the oil can cause a rapid rancid kind of reaction on the surface of the skin. So if you're in a spa, go and shower it off after you're through and before you get dressed, and then you'll be all the better for it. Use the soap to make sure that it's removed, and that's just our recommendation because in this kind of light, people may have all kinds of skin irritations for the products they're using. The shampoos and the conditioners and the things that may have worked in sound or before light emerged doesn't work in light at all. The products that seem to work in light have seaweed in them or have some kind of algae in their base, and you don't always know, but if it's advertised, that we know is the right product to consider. There's one more thing that we're going to point out. Some people are very careful about washing their clothes. Cleaning clothing after each wearing is vital in light wave motion. Clothing from yesterday is filled with consciousness of others you encounter throughout the day, plus what you are releasing as you transfuse. It is better to wash all garments after each wearing. If you don't wash them after and you wear them a second time, you've got things clinging to you too, and they can pinch into the skin or irritate you in the physical if you're not very careful about only wearing fresh, cleaned, and maybe pressed clothing. Dry cleaners are okay if they're of natural substances. Asur'Ana did find dryer-based, at-home dry cleaning packets from the Woolite brand, and they probably have that even in Europe because I think they have a Woolite type system there. But whatever it is, it's a little sheet and you put 4 garments in and you toss it in the dryer for 20 minutes. It smells clean and it molders light. I think it's about $2 a packet. So for items that's like 50 cents each, to dry clean your own stuff at home, and in many ways that's far better with light than we've seen anywhere else. So we've been very impressed with the at-home dry cleaning. Sometimes home dry cleaning is better at removing consciousness than washing the clothes in water with an organic soap and then drying. In Atlantis, they used steamers. They had a little spherical steam machine. You put 1 garment in at a time and you turned on the steam and it purified it. It was slightly damp and they would hang it up to dry. If you have steam in your dryer, you may do it that way because they create these amazing dryers these days that do all these other functions. The little dry cleaning packets from Woolite do remove stains, and Asur'Ana has even put her carpets. She has carpets on tile floor in the dryer, and they fit because they're very thin, and then throw a packet in and they come out absolutely beautiful. It's very, very important to stay clean in light because the skin may begin to eat or bleed or break out if you don't clean your physical body well. Asur'Ana and Pear have an ozonator they put in the bath, and that's a major cleansing of the skin. So if you have a bath, buy an inexpensive ozonator. Now, ozone in and of itself kills mold, spores, and does other things in the house you might not even think about that are helpful to your health. But in the bath, it kills all the bacteria and everything else clinging to the skin that may not release, except if you scrub the skin with vitamin C. Something about the acid of the vitamin C kills all the natural bacteria that's in the environment, on the skin, and in doing that, you're less likely to have skin wounds in light. The other thing to do is the ozone bath, and I recommend that too anyway because ozone is an amazing mind boost. You inhale it and it boosts the mind to wave better and you understand your world better in it. You can use it in the environment too, and it will kill off most spores if you're subject to congestion in the lungs. We also recommend having one big ionizer for a house of perhaps 2 rooms and a living area, and if it's bigger than that, you may need 2. They're beautiful instruments and they'll clear your mind, but they'll also clear the environment of debris because debris and light shows up almost anywhere the light gates are. The debris collects along the walls, and when you ionize the home, the debris along your walls lifts off and goes out, usually a chimney, or out the ceiling, or out the roof, however directional the light is in your home. So it's important to have an ionizer and ozonator. We're talking about this from a healing perspective, which sounds strange, but your environment is your place to heal. And if it's not clean, you can't heal well, alright? Let's talk about having plants in your home. The plants do many things. One, they oscillate a direction to point what isn't for you away from the home. It's like being in a forest, and if you get the right plants, it's even better. We really like palm trees or anything related to the palm kingdom. Ficus trees are great as well, and Asur'Ana has bought quite a few of those. She finally got a flowering cactus that was really amazing and a little bit expensive, but it does something else to the direction of the notions of their people to leave the house. Cactus can be used for the mind and to have near you. If you have an office desk, you can take a little cactus and a little palm tree and get a little ozonator or ionizer and have it at the desk, and you probably feel a lot better over the course of your day. If you have a car, you can buy an ionizer for the car. They're little and they plug into the lighter section of the dashboard. And what that does is it cleans up your car environment all the time of the little sticky things that come in that one holds onto it. So it keeps the car clean with a little ionizer. You can use essential oils too, but the ionizer does far better in our opinion to keep the car clean than any kind of essential oil you might think that even if it smells well. There are other things we'll tell you about cleaning the environment. One is to use vinegar and Windex instead of cleansing pads or other things. Asur'Ana uses vinegar to clean the tile floors. Vinegar is acidic and the acid kills the bacteria that might cling to her feet when she uses vinegar on her floors. That sounds strange, but they do kill mold too. So it kills off all the bacteria, and that's very important to the health of the feet if you walk around the house barefoot. Light feet may like barefoot better than socks in some cases, so you see how that feels for you. But the other thing is, in the bathroom, the vinegar is very useful on the tile and in the bath even. And so we periodically clean the bathtub by filling it up with cold water and put like a third of a cup of vinegar in it and just let it sit there for about an hour and then flush it down. It will clean the tub too, maybe even of the debris that you've let go of as you bathe, and you may be surprised about that. Vinegar is very useful in light, and the light will motion through the tub and kind of ping pong around it and kind of clean things up, and you have perhaps a tub that glows after. Getting into a tub that's filled with little critters that you've released the night before isn't very useful because they may come back to the skin. Now, the vitamin C in the bath may trigger them to leave, and that's what we hope for, but we know that the ozonator really does. So the ozonator will force the little creatures to leave your skin in your home too because they don't like that smell at all, and that's kind of unusual, but that's just the way it is. Healing you begins with the physical in its own condition of what's clinging to the skin, and in today's time, there's a lot more that comes in to try to cling to the skin, and we've witnessed on Earth, maybe even going back to 400 years. It may have to do with petrochemicals, may have to do with plastics, it may have to do with environmental substances that aren't well for you or for anybody else, and that's why we suggest cleaning with Windex or any ammonia-based glass cleaner and vinegar only. Now, the ammonia does something else in light. It doesn't smell very well, and I know that it does polish glass and surfaces and make it all shine and pretty. But the ammonia catches the light and triggers a light ray cleaning of these surfaces that you polish with it, so light wave cleans it, and that's better for you in the end anyway. Because then all the little creatures that came home from you from work or shopping or wherever you went in the day also leave, and that's been our observation. They don't like the smell so much. Generally, they leave out to the roof or the chimney and they don't come back. We're in a beautiful phosphorus region, so it's less so for Asur'Ana and pear, but we still notice how it shows up just through the environment, even of others next door, which is kind of weird, but that's what's happening. These creatures will eventually burn up in light and not be here anymore, and that may take 4 years. And if they cling to the skin, it can really cause skin damage. So please make sure to wash or dry clean your clothes, perhaps at home, especially clothes that you wear frequently, and think about what you need to do to ionize and ozonate your home and bath. Also think about what you need to do with plants, because plants are very directly oriented to moving things out into nature where the bigger gates exist. They can aerate or blow off planet, and that's what needs to happen with these little creatures. They need to blow off the planet, and the planetary tau recently ordained a new foundation for everyone that is a big mirror. Therefore we sent to you keys for the four corners of your home to open a big mirror underneath it. If you have an office, they'll have a set of mirrors. If you have cars, there's a set of mirrors for each, and you put your keys in the four corners and turn them on and let it form under the car and under your home. Now the mirrors are to pick the little creatures that are floating around the environment in light and motion them up to bigger gates where they can be blown off planet. That's the best that the planetary tau could come up with, as he finally took charge this last few weeks. He's been returning or retrieving his consciousness and has to come in and make big changes because there's things going on in light that aren't well for the rest of humanity either. So try these keys, and you have keys to give to others that you know are run into and they self-replicate. You click on it once and you get 4 more. So you give them out to everywhere. Place them in the office, place them in any hotel that you stay in, place them everywhere you go. If you travel in transit, place them in the airports and wherever you want to be, even out in nature. If it's a human park, click the mirrors at the base of the park, and that will start to direct these little critters away until they aerate and they don't bother us or sting us anymore in the physical. First of all, you have to be clean, and if you're not clean, then it doesn't really work, and I'll explain why here in a minute. For some of you, the best time to go into the trigger point of healing is after you've had either a shower or a bath. So you can go into it in the morning as you put your clean clothes on, and that's a good time to go into the healing, maybe for 2 hours. Then you'll be more balanced in your mind, and you can run it perhaps in your car as you drive to work or wherever you're going for that day. If you're at home, you may sit with a cup of coffee and listen to your guidance, and maybe that's a beautiful time to meditate too. But whatever it is, you have to be clean and have clean garments on in order to be in the trigger point of healing, or it shuts off because it can't flex its light otherwise. After a beautiful bath, and after perhaps some ozone in the environment, or using the salt and the sea powder in it, or some other inspiration, because there's many bath salts that have nice scents, and they're okay to use. They won't bother you at all. Just use a little bit of vitamin C with it and you'll be better in your skin. But once you come out, then the trigger point of healing can be entered because you're clean now. If you haven't washed the hair, generally that's okay because the angels will come in and give you a hair ointment if you didn't wash your hair in the evening. Make sure to wash the hair at least once a day. If you don't, little things start to go into the pores of the scalp and the scalp will start to itch, and it's not good for you not to bathe the hair, not to bathe the head every day in light motion, okay? And again, we recommend the shampoo with seaweed in it and the conditioner with seaweed in it, and use both because it will nurture the hair not to break in major light storms, because what lies ahead is major light storms. So you're going along your day and you're trucking along and it's great, and suddenly something storms, and then it storms. The eyes can get very weary and feel almost stiff, like you can't open them, and you want to lay back somewhere to rest. Now in Atlantis, they were smart about this because the light stormed a lot and they had 4-hour workdays. And if it really stormed and it got too groggy, people would just lay down literally on a couch or something because they couldn't go anywhere. Now, your society isn't used to that. They think you can keep going 8 hours a day, and in a major light storm, they may not be able to. They don't know what's wrong. They're groggy and they're at work and they're sitting in their chair perhaps with their hands like this. So maybe they fall asleep in front of their computer because light storms will do that, and this society doesn't understand that yet. Doctors won't know what it is, but it's happening all over the planet, and people at work just suddenly fall out. They don't know where to go. They may lay down on the floor or the couch because they can't do anything else but put their head down. That sounds very strange, but that's what major light storms can do. The planetary tau is anticipating them to begin to hit in about 2 years. So it's about 2 years, and then suddenly you may have these groggy times. If you're on the road, pull over and rest until it passes. They don't last very long, maybe an hour, okay? If you've got an appointment, understand that perhaps you're going to be late and call them. Now that sounds very strange, but in major light storm, nobody may be able to move much in the region, and they may hit an entire gate. But if where you're going is outside of the gate, they won't know what your problem is unless you say there's an accident on the road, which is probably what you do if you can't feel like moving enough to drive. Don't have an accident. Pull over and rest until it passes. But the other condition that can happen, and this is where the trigger point of healing is very important, is that there is a light serum that pours over you. It's beautiful, and if you go straight into the trigger point of healing, the light serum can be used to really light blazing your transfiguration and purify the skin and purify it in the body if you choose to pour some of it to the bones. In the trigger point of healing, we'll take light emotions and pull it inward towards your bones so that the light emulsifies every cell in the body. That's the gift of the trigger point of healing, is that you emulsify the light all the way through the body, and the Tao in association with you has to put you in the trigger point if there's a major light storm so that it becomes a healing condition rather than a deterrent to your existence. And so she'll do that with you with these new assemblage points. And the planetary Tao is rearranging some assemblage points of light for humanity too. They may be done in clusters or bundles that show up at work or shopping malls or different things, and he knows about it from another cycle of light in another galaxy that had a large human population. So be blessed with the planetary Tao. He is somewhat new. He went inward and regrouped himself to come forward for this time of light, and it's not an easy time for him to reach. And so be blessed by him, but please bless him back and love him. He's here with you today because we ask him to be here to take a look at what we're doing as Star Seeds for assemblage points. Other seeds are receiving this healing too through the Tao of the seeds, which is very important for them in this life change too into major light regrouping. And it's been a difficult transition because many things were flammable and began to combust among the natural world tundra. So nature has been combusting, and some gates are having problems, and they have to recast everything to be a fabric that works with light. The fabric that was cast was anticipating a light that was more blue or green and is very bright yellow, and so what would work with blue and green rays doesn't work with bright yellow, and it burns like fire. That's very damaging to Tao and Tao and even nature. And sometimes nature calls in a lot of rainstorms to help cool itself down if it's smoldering. Per and Asur'Ana experienced that in Iceland when there were a lot of rain going on to cool down the smoldering, and even in Idaho. when summer it rained a lot. And here in the tundra, the mesa, there's been rainstorm after rainstorm this last few weeks that are very unusual. They're turning the hills green and it's very pretty, but it's also pulling down the smoldering. So bless the rain when it shows up because it may be needed until all the fabric of the planet has changed. And that's the big direction of the planetary Tao. He has to change that and provide another wave of Taos to enter the tundra and the sea. So the sea hasn't combusted and its Tao is more intact than the Taos of the land, and that's very hard when light gates need to be managed by Tao. So bless them all because they really need to go to work to do the things that they do, and they love you as seeds because you're kind and you're sweet and you really try to help Tao and Tao wherever you go. That's the gift of star seed understanding, is your little point of service to humanity. And when you're in service, then you also get served in a way by Spirit that shows up to anoint you and bless you and help you along your way in your light motions, because they know you give and they have to give back. That's just the way it works. You give, they give. If you don't care, you don't receive. It's a misnomer not to give, not just to Spirit or Tao and Tao, but to other humans, because you may know of something that can help them in what they're struggling with. Sometimes seeds get very weary of giving because you're like the seed in the office, and all of a sudden, everything there is going, yeah, Mr. Wizard. And then all you know is that you're weary by the end of the day of giving them all the things that they need to be well, and that can be very tiring for seeds. And so the planetary Tao wanted to create a system of his own to help it from within himself, meaning that he wants to be more present in each of his seeds so that he can help you help others wherever you go. Some of you travel and some of you don't, but wherever you are and wherever you go, it really is okay. But I understand that in this time of emerging light, there's a lot of needy people, and sometimes you go out to the shopping mall and come back and feeling like you have to sleep in the car. Asur'Ana went to Walmart to purchase some household items and came out and had to put the car seat back and rest for 20 minutes before she drove back home because all the need of all the people in that store. It is that way in this society at this time. It will even out in about 2 years when everything gets disseminated that they need to mold the light better. There's going to be a lot of ill conditions about diet. And so Asur'Ana had written the angel healing articles in Light Wave 2 poetic prose and posted them online ahead of time for anyone who's guided to read the information on our website. At first, the angels didn't want Asur'Ana to publish the angel healing essays on the website because they don't want to be involved with the masses of humanity, because humanity isn't star seeds. These angels only work with star seeds. That's all they do. There's 50 of them and they're all archangels, and so bless them too. Asur'Ana entreated that the angel healing articles be published online, as she felt great compassion for humanity, as this is a very difficult reality to descend into. Therefore, the angels finally agreed to have her publish them. So the angels will enter your foundry and help you with trigger points. The angels and the Tao work together to gear your life towards each trigger point. The first one is about healing for yourself and also helping others heal too if it runs at work, but chances are it's too cloudy there. So this is not really for healing anyone else other than you, unless you live in partnership, unless you have lived in partnership or have children with you. Older people who are on their death sequences are very difficult to transfuse near, and so if you have somebody dying in the household, that is very hard on transfusion. It is far better not to be near the ones that are dying if they're grandparents or whoever they are, and put them in an old people home if you can afford it. It can cause the fuel to smolder, and then it can cause an early death because the ignition of death is to freeze and the ignition of light is to live, and the two don't go together. The older generation isn't a transfusion crossing. They keep slowing down until they can't live anymore, and it's very painful sometimes to witness up close. But whatever it is, be careful with those that are crossing, because they can trigger things not in you but in your transfusion that may be difficult to overcome and could lead to something that triggers you to die too. And so we're going to say to you, be very careful about being around people who are dying. If you're a nurse or work with people, generally nurses have 9 or 10 gates around them to separate you from death. And so if you need to be around somebody who's aging and dying, we'll build 9 or 10 gates around you to protect you from the notions of death, and see if that works out better for you. There's many changes, and sometimes things don't get oriented right to know where to go with it until something really disastrous occurs, and that's very sad to witness. So we speak to it very honorably about all of us that are here transfusing. The angels who say to you, be careful about your assemblage points. Don't give them to others, because people will want to reach into your foundry at work and take them. So keep them at home and use mirrors to take them with you through your car, into the office, or out into the world. Make sure your neighbors don't steal them if you're not in a private residence, because they may try to, and then you have to look for your Tao and look for your points and pull them all back and put them back together. The planetary Tao thought, well, we'll put it in a box of mirrors and they won't know what it is, and maybe that's better to put your foundry in a box of mirrors that's at the base of your transfusing gate at home primarily. Therefore, let's do that today so you don't lose what you've gained in all these webinars that we've had together to inspire you in new directions to grow and be and live and love and care and sway and all these things that you may be inspired to do as a result of a new life map and a change of directions you may be undergoing at this time. We bless you greatly for each one of these things are very important to understand. Now we're going to go to a little picture here. It's just for fun, okay? This was in the park of Yellowstone. There was this perch and there were these rivers and it was very beautiful. And there was this lone buffalo down at the base. Asur'Ana and Pear were just thrilled to see one buffalo down there. So Asur'Ana zoomed the camera in and his message was, be in the assemblage point of healing while you're in the park, and you feel much better when you go back to your home. It so inspired them that they would drive to the park almost every day they had free when they were staying for their 1-month stint in the Big Sky, Montana area. She and Pear would stop and take pictures of the buffalo and the park and blast the area everywhere they went. So the message of buffalo is, when you're in national parks, or if you're driving through the forest, or if you're taking a hike, that's another good time to go into the trigger point of healing. Light will cleanse the field too if it's the right ray, and generally you need pitch. So the land can often be brown or peach colored, and it does produce kind of a peach gas. You can pour that gas around you as you walk to the park or the forest or wherever you like to roam and cleanse the body as if you've had a bath. And then you can enter the trigger point of healing as you're also healing yourself as you walk or ride your bike. It could be the same thing if you like to roller skate. That's okay too if you like to ski. That's okay too because it's beautiful in the snow. The snow reflects the light, which makes it more potent when you're on the ski hill. Now here's one other condition, and it could lead to light wave blindness if you're not careful with your glasses out in the sun on a bright and sunny day. We recommend dark blue-gray sunglasses and not really any other color in the clouds. Asur'Ana sees better with the brown-yellow, and so you might have a second pair for cloudy light, which needs a little more amplification of light to see better. But it's the blue-gray, almost near black colored lenses that are going to protect your eyes from light wave burn of the highway or out in the world. if you have prescriptions, sometimes they change, but sometimes they don't change in the car. So make sure to get prescription sunglasses that you can put on, because otherwise you have problems with your eyes through time if you're out in the world too much. If you ski, they really need to be near black and not yellow. And even when it's snowing, it may be better to have them darker, because the light can really burn out the eye sockets fast in the snow. It may be a sport you just choose to give up out of fear of going blind, and I would if I were you. Per used to firmly loved to ski in his 20s and 30s. He stopped eventually, and he didn't really know why, but he was concerned about his eyesight even then, as the mountains of Norway were pretty bright and light at that time. So be careful with snow and light. If you have to drive in the snow, wear your dark glasses and see what it does for your eyesight to do that, because usually the face relaxes when we put them on, because it knows it won't be strained in light anymore. And so that was also a Buffalo message, because at that time Asur'Ana had these pale pink glasses, and he said, no, you need dark glasses. It's funny because she sat on them about 2 hours later and got up and realized she had smashed them. Therefore, the buffalo helped her get new glasses that day. Asur'Ana and Per went to the sunglass hut or someplace in town to get the right kind of glasses. Get good glasses. Don't be cheap, because the plastic ones may not filter the rays enough. Make sure they're good glasses, perhaps from Sunglass Hut or someplace like that. That's very gifted at creating lenses that reflect the light, not just UV rays, alright? We have another picture here. Now this photo was taken at the ski hilltops in Taos, New Mexico, and it has snowed that day. I think it was late October when we made our way up there. The message of the mountain was to be like the skier on the hill and let it all run off of you. They put Per and Asur'Ana in the assemblage point of healing, because they really needed one after mothering that much light at the DAS event. And the mountain was very gracious and said, be beautiful too, because when you're beautiful, when you heal, all the angels would come in and sing at you, and they did. Per wanted to have a glass of wine at the little store, and he couldn't find anybody there because they weren't working. The place was empty. It hadn't opened up as of yet. And so we drove down the hill and found a little restaurant in town, and Per had a glass of wine there instead. While at the restaurant, the mountain said to Asur'Ana, "In this time of light, there's going to be like glacé, and it will come around you, and when it does, it will infuse the body with beautiful octaves of light. You can choose for the race you wish in any given day." And so the Tao of the mountain put Asur'Ana and Pear in a glacé, which was a beautiful gift for them after a long event of moldering a lot of light in another kind of transfusion gear that they have actually left behind them, which is nice. But the glacé went into red at first, and he says something's really angry at you, and it may have been a student that was upset by something that didn't work out right for them, and that left. Then it turned blue, and she calmed down and felt much better. So when you receive the glacé in a light storm, will sometimes mold things out of you that are from others because others like to gather around your light. This is true for every star seed on earth, and just kind of hang over you, and it is kind of like a hangover to have them hanging over you. And there isn't many things sometimes to take off their presence, because in this society they don't know how not to blend, so you're a little light beacon, and they all show up in your corner. Now the Tao of Asur'Ana created a box of some sort of mirrors that kind of help to push things out, and that's the type of box that they're going to put around you today in the trigger point of healing, so that you can mirror away the people that want to cling. Sometimes that's hard if you're in partnership or living with family, because you're so close in the living environments that it's hard not to get all mixed up, but the glacé will purify you. We can't produce that. It has to come through a light storm. When it does, you'll be better because the light storm will go off. You may feel tired, but in the glacé, you heal and you feel a lot better. And that was a nice gift. There happened to be a light storm on the day that this photo was taken. They guided Asur'Ana and Pear to drive up to the ski hill that day, even though it had been snowing, and to get out and walk around and see the beauty and the pristine nature of this very, very beautiful place. Taos, New Mexico was like a major Tao insertion point at that time in that light gate. Now, since that time, the light gates have all moved, and the big light gates that were there are not there anymore, and they've opened up elsewhere. Here in the mesa, it was not a big light gate at that time, and now it is. And that's confusing for the tundra and everything here, because it wasn't expecting to motion so much light. Everything was prepared in places like Sedona for major light don't work either, in a way, because they need to be something else for low wattage transfusion. So it's a confusing time even in terms of where to be or go or live, and that's what Asur'Ana discovered about Idaho. Now its gate moved in the end as it was rebuilt, and they were rebuilding it outward towards Wyoming. Pear and Asur'Ana didn't want to live in Wyoming, and Asur'Ana needed to do the castaneda work. So we ended up down here in Gold Canyon, Mesa, Arizona. It's a beautiful gate that people aren't prepared for it. The land is not prepared for it, and there's a lot of problems that have to be sorted out to manage the gates here. Asur'Ana and Pear are good gate managers, so they bring us here to help. And that is true for each of you. We see that few of you are in bad locations right now. However, if you feel called or guided to leave your current place of residence, then perhaps you move, and so we want to bless you. Let's go back to our prose here. And say a few more things about the trigger point of healing. Trigger points do create changes of direction and assemblage points. So as you molder into the trigger point of healing, and you get blessed by the angels who come and adjust your life currents. What they do is they adjust the light current in the body. They give you light systems so that you are not cooked. So they may pull you down some overnight if you've been overheated during the day to keep your body temperatures in balance. So you may do a night food transfusion and feel quite chilly. If you do, put your robe on or wrap yourself in a down comforter or do whatever you need to do to stay warm. But they'll do it in an emotion because you've been cold. So after your bath or shower at night, and please always have one, because the angels don't like to come near you to heal you unless you've showered, okay? Or bathe in the evening. It's easy to just throw things off and crawl into the bed, and that's not wise. Light and a bath is always better if you have a tub, and so please do that. And so they may cool you down, and if you get chilly, just know that you may be overheated during the day and they're balancing the body temperatures. If they wake you up with an emotion, you may suddenly be really hot and you may throw your covers off and go, geez, it's really warm. Well, they're emulsifying you because generally they emulsify at night and not during the day when you're busy with other people. So you transfuse during the day and you're cool transfused and emulsify at night and get up if you need to drink more water. It's very, very important to drink water in light because light emotions will make you thirsty and you need to keep your blood vessels fluid enough not to get really cloudy, blood leading to a stroke or heart attack. That's where your angels may trigger you with an emotion to wake up. So now that when you wake up in the middle of the night to go get a purified glass of water or glass of tea, you let cool and drink it all down and be better for it by morning. If you drive a lot, make sure to get a beautiful container for your water or your tea. Pear has found Starbucks made a stainless steel iced tea mug, and it's very nice, and you can throw it in the dishwasher. He fills it up with tea before he goes out, and if he's in a restaurant, he takes it in and gets another dose of tea from them before he goes on his way. Lately, he's been putting lemon in it because it purifies the water if it has some kind of something in it that's not well. And so remember, melon may be useful in tea, but nowhere else, and no other citrus, just lemon. So look for the stainless steel mug, not plastic. Plastic can melt in light, and that's a problem. Everywhere you go out, they put things in styrofoam or plastic. So you go to Starbucks or Dunkin' and get a nice tea, and it's in those nice little plastic things that look like they're solid. Problem with light is that the plastic starts to bleed into the fluid if you don't drink it within maybe an hour. So remember that. Drink it and then throw the cup away. And if you can get the stainless steel one, you be all the better for it because you can leave it in the car long as sip it a little bit longer to the rest of your day. Now, the other day, Asur'Ana got an iced tea in styrofoam. We had her drink it in less than 5 minutes. Literally, she just drank the whole thing. It wasn't a big cup and it tasted good, and she had the lemon in it. Styrofoam is really bad in light, so don't do the styrofoam cups for your coffee in the hotel room. Pack a mug of your own if they don't have one, or ask for one at the restaurant, or wait to get to the restaurant to have your coffee. The paper cups that they use are okay, and that's odd, isn't it? So if it's a paper cup that you're pouring the coffee in, or even the iced tea, that's okay. It's just that plastic isn't well. And so if Dunkin' or Starbucks has a choice between a coffee in a paper cup and the plastic one, you have them put the coffee in the paper cup and just say you don't like plastic and be weird. This is going to sound weird to them, but it's all the better for your mind and your health to do it that way. Fluids can be very filtered and very unfiltered, depending on the nature of the business. Starbucks and Dunkin' filter their water in our observation, and so do fine restaurants, because they want it to taste okay on the table. But wherever it is, you can buy bottled water. And some of them are better than others. So we're going to tell you a little about that in association with the bubbles. Sometimes the bubbles are very good for the abdomen. If you're constipated and you can't move your intestines, then drinking bubbly water will trigger it to move, and that's useful with lemon or lime in it. Perrier water is good, and Gerolsteiner water is good. And I think there's another brand that's good, but most of the others aren't. So if they're adding bubbles to it, don't drink it. It needs to be natural, and we know those three are natural. Be careful of other waters in plastic, okay? You're really better off getting a water filter, and there is one that is very lovely that ionizes and purifies it. It's handheld and you can travel with it and just get water off the table and pour through, and that would be better for you than drinking the water that's in a plastic container. Even Fiji water or Hawaii water, which may taste really good, but the plastic and light is going to get into the water really bad. None of the big light gates have been triggered, so be careful with plastic in all of its genres or styrofoam, and try to do paper or do your own thing, and that's far better for you. Now the angels have pinpointed that a high protein, low carbohydrate, high vegetable, a lot of juices type of diet is best for you, and that really is true. If there are juice stands wherever they are and you get a juice, it will probably be in plastic or styrofoam because that's just the nature of the business. If you can have them, put it in paper. If not, then just know you need to drink it up quickly and not linger about it, because it really isn't good to have a styrofoam moldering in light and giving off its gases. So that's about all we can say about that. But if you have smoothie joints or places you can go to get juice, go there and do that as a part of your lunch. If they have a deli and it's a health food store, have the juice first and then eat whatever you put on your plate. Be careful of non-organic salads because they're filled with some kind of chemical that makes a gas at very acute rate. We've noticed it less in spinach and arugula than in other greens, and we've been guiding Asur'Ana to just do arugula and spinach, and it seems to be okay. But we don't know what they're spraying on it or what they're using to grow it that is so noxious and gaseous, as it aerates in light, and that may be problematic for many different kinds of foods or even vegetables if they're not organic. Last night we went in and made a grocery run to a local store to fill the tank of the refrigerator for this week, and we didn't want to drive very far due to other problems in the light gates of the region. The organic section was very small and it didn't smell, and so we bought everything out of that except the strawberries, which were okay. But it was very weird to smell the odors of the greens and the veggies in the other section, which was very long. It just stunk like a log. If you can imagine a log that has been soaking a long time and it just smells. It hasn't dried out to be burnt in the fire. That's what the food smelled like in the non-organic veggie section. The fruits were better. They smell sweeter, but whatever they're using to preserve it or grow it in, or whatever they're doing isn't really well in light. That's very sad. I mean, a lot of people can get sick, so make sure to map out your organic food points where you can go out and you know that it's beautiful and it's okay to eat because many places don't really use organic products. Therefore, if you can make it at home and take it with you, that would be better. But you know how humans are. You need to relax, and we need to be social sometimes, and we need to do something beautiful. Usually, if it's a 4-star, 5-star restaurant, they're going to use better products anyway, so go there instead. We noticed in the 5-star grocery store that Asur'Ana and pear found that's more expensive, but the veggies never smell. They're always molding light and they're always far fresher even if they're not organic than anything else we found. So shop in the best possible places for your homes too, and eat in the best possible places, and do it for you, and do it for your health, and do it to be able to be in the assemblage point of beauty and also in the trigger point of healing. Now, the assemblage point of beauty and the trigger point of healing go hand in hand. So first, you go into a trigger point of healing, and then you end up in the assemblage point of beauty in the morning. That's a beautiful way to shower and paint your face if you like to wear a little cosmetics, and that's okay. Just be careful with those too, and don't wear a foundation because it smothers the skin. Powders are far better, or a bronzing agent that seems to aerate the skin and works out well. Asur'Ana doesn't use cosmetics, but there are some natural lines of cosmetics in the health food store. So please stick with those because they're far better for the skin and eyes in the long haul. A Vida line of cosmetics is one example that we recommend because they're all made with natural substances, but they're expensive. There are other lines of natural cosmetics that are cheaper than Aveda and works just as well and fit with your pocket. Some of the powders in Aveda can actually heal the eyes. An associate of ours has found that the Aveda eyeshadow actually helps her eyes mend because it has a mineral in it that they need, and it kind of absorbs some of it in the skin each day or through the skin. She has also found that the Aveda hairline works with light beautifully, and I don't know if they have seaweed as a base, but I think they must as a gelatinous substance in each one because it acts like a seaweed shampoo and conditioner. It's very expensive, and so you don't need to do that, but it is a beautiful light mousse product if you choose for it. And there are probably others in other lines in Europe or even in the Americas that are equally beautiful. Another associate of ours found a lotion through Michelle, which is an organic brand, and it's a polypeptide cream. The polypeptide treatment renews the skin in light and the Avino line of green signs does the same thing. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts for those of you that care about the beauty of the skin because of your need to be beautiful in the physical too. It's not just about being beautiful in how you're anointed or whatever in light. You can be beautiful in the physical in how you dress yourself. And also, please make sure to find fabrics that motion light, otherwise it's like putting death on as you dress yourself each day. Some fabrics motion light, cotton does, rayon, and some of these other new tree-based fabrics that are kind of stretchy, molder light brilliantly. And they revived very well in the dry cleaning pockets in the dryer because you can run light through the dryer to revive your fabric. So try that and see and be beautiful every day of your life and everywhere you go and with everyone you meet. The trigger point of healing will put you into the assemblage point of beauty for the morning time anyway, until you motion into the next assemblage for you to live your day. We love you and we thank you and we bless you. The healing will carry on for many hours, so please rest if you can to receive this, or go out into nature, or do something divine to enjoy your day. All right, we thank you. We bless you. Namaste.